Hey YouTube, welcome back to Love for Crypto. So as you're all aware, I have got a video planned again. It is going to be one that's screen recorded, but I've got some great information, and I'm going to do a deep dive into Temenos and Ripple and exactly what Temenos' vision is for the future. So make sure you look out for that video. I'll try and get it out before this weekend. Obviously it's going to be something that I'll need to do when I'm at home, when I've got the computer. But yeah, I think there's some very interesting information now surrounding Temenos and exactly what key integral part they're going to play into the development with Ripple, and the reason why they've integrated Ripple tech into the T24 system. I don't really want to give too much away about it, and there's going to be some credit to obviously the person in the community that has brought this information to light. But it's very, very interesting to say the least. And it's basically reinstated my belief, not that I ever had any doubt in it regardless to that anyway, but I think you really need to see exactly what Temenos' vision is, how they look at changing the landscape of payments. Obviously we know that they provide service for over 3,000 banks, and this other piece of key information that has, I wouldn't say come to light just now, but approval of something specific has come to light, which I'm willing to share with you. But what this video is more about is it's just my views really on the price prediction of XRP, when I do believe we're going to start seeing some significant movement in the value of the token itself. Now, before I continue, obviously I just want to talk about a little thing. Obviously David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple, has come out. There was a comment that I was actually corresponding to with David, and he's basically talking about the value of XRP. Now obviously we all know that XRP's gone live. We know that they're serving for remittance at the moment, basically starting off on a low scale in regards of payment value. And 44 cents is basically our average price, where we've held comfortably now for the past few weeks. I mean, if you look at the value of XRP, it's actually more stable than US stock markets at the moment, which is quite a bit of a reversal considering at the start of the year what the narrative was. But obviously, if you've been following this channel, been following this blog, then you obviously know my stance on the US markets and what the inevitability is that will happen in that regard. So back to the price. So we've got the 44 cents XRP, we've got remittance costs that are live currently on the network, and a lot of people have been spooked. The price hasn't really shifted, which we can all understand it's not shifted. I mean, if you look at a remittance payment, on average $50 to $200, and obviously the total market cap of XRP is more than liquid enough to be able to sustain that volume of low value, high volume payments for remittance. It's not really had an effect on the price. But it goes to show one thing, it shows that remittances are live and operating on the XRPL. You know, people might be disappointed, there's no price movement, but just remember remittance is very, very small. You know, you're probably talking 400, 500, 600 billion annually sent in remittances. And if you want to compare that to sort of a central bank clearinghouse, you know, the Bank of England are clearing 1 trillion in a day in securities. You know, whether that's bond settlements, you know, stock settlements, you know, overall gist is 1 trillion in settlements. So if you look at remittance over an annual period, you know, what, 600 billion? It's basically fart in the wind. But the main focus of what you should be focusing on here is the fact that it is live, they are transmitting it, remittance payments are flowing smoothly into the XRPL, the spreads are nice and tight, as you can see. We can see no volatility in the value. So I'll just put it to you into this regard, because a lot of people seem to get the misconception wrong, and I do believe this is a very important talking point which I'm going to cover with you today. So obviously, as I've just stated, you know, we've got remittance costs, we've got it live on the XRPL, it's absolutely fine. I'm just going to throw an example at you right now, and you know, this is the direction where we want to be leading. We are chasing down the high value payments, maybe in lower volumes. But let's just say, for example, you know, we are going to talk about maybe treasury fund settlement, whether it's bond settlement, Facebook stock settlement, US market stock settlement, Forex. I'm just going to roll out an example for you. The current price is 44 cents. Now, let's just say, for example, okay, we're live and kicking. We've got some high value payments that we need to push through the XRPL ledger. And we're going to put them value of the payments at 25 million each. So obviously you've got your Ripple recommended exchanges for XRapid, Bittrex being the US. So we'll use that as the example. So let's say, for example, you know, they're looking to move 25 million across borders, and they've got 100 payments lined up simultaneously. Now, in order to move that value, obviously Bittrex need to buy XRP in their exchange. And if you probably look at the level, the volume of the actual order book on the sell order, because obviously if they're buying XRP in Bittrex, they need a sufficient amount of sell orders in that exchange. So you've got a 25 million payment, that's fine. But you know, when you market execute in order a 25 million payment in XRP, it's going to have an impact on the price. It really will do. Let's just say the level, the volume of the sell order book in Bittrex is say 50 million. So you've got your first transaction, that's done. You got a second transaction, that's done. At this point, there's no volume left in the sell orders. So what's going to happen to the price is through market execution, because XRapid does not care about the value of the price. It just simply wants to move money from A to B. So at a market executed order, what's basically going to happen, it's going to drive the value from 44 cents. You know, if you're talking 25 million payments, we've just got 2 of them that have cleared. It's completely eradicated the sell order books in Bittrex. That basically means the price can go as high as it wants. There's no more pressure pushing down the price. So from a 44 cents move, for example, on these payments, it could quite comfortably take up to $12 in that exchange. Okay, but when you've got them 2 payments that have been processed in Bittrex, it's now in a liquid market. It is illiquid. Basically meaning on the next buy order that XRapid needs to initiate, there's no sell orders, there's no sellers there. So basically it just defeats the purpose of XRapid. It is unsustainable. So you're going to have the high swings on Bittrex side. Let's just say it goes to $12. And let's just use the Philippine exchange. I forgot the name, unfortunately. But we'll use that as an example. So now it needs to sell XRP into that market, meaning the buy orders. They need buyers in that market to take on the XRP in order to initiate that transaction. And again, the volume of the books, let's call it 50 million. It can process 2 transactions and there's no more buyers there in it. So basically, now we've got the third payment. We've got no sellers in Bittrex's exchange and we've got no buyers in Philippines exchange. It's basically become an illiquid market. So what I'm trying to explain to you is what will basically happen in that scenario. So you've got a high level value XRP in Bittrex. You've got a low value XRP in the Philippine exchange. And let's just go down as low as 2 cents. So what you're going to get now, you've got this. This is basically what they call, it's the spread. It's basically it's the slippage that's going to occur through arbitrage. The spread is that deep. So basically, as the example, I'm going to go to the Philippine exchange. I'm going to buy fucking thousands and thousands and thousands of XRP, and I'm going to arbitrage. I'm going to take them into Bittrex and sell them all for $12. That's slippage. That's basically an outside perspective who's contributing to buying cheap XRP and selling the XRP for a higher price in another exchange. That's basically what arbitrage means. Now, as we were speaking about, obviously, remittances, the average cost of $50 to $200 maybe at a maximum. With a 44-cent XRP, you're not going to see the spread increase like that. If I initiate a $200 payment from Bittrex, it's merely going to dent. It's not even going to dent the order book. It's laughable. It won't do anything. As you can see, it's not doing nothing to the price. So this is why we've not got the price movement in XRapid with remittance costs. Now, the way I like to look at this is remittances is basically the playground, it's the nursery, it's the kindergarten of what Ripple are trying to do. They put the technology and they put it into kindergarten, into nursery. Okay, go out there, do some remittance costs for us, show the world that you are capable in what you're doing, whether that's with a MoneyGram, whether you're Western Union, whether it's Cambridge. We are live, and there's a lot of people that are disappointed about the fact that the value is not reflected to that. But the biggest thing you need to understand is there's a working product with real utility being used today as we speak. Now, yeah, it's not affected the price, but we're talking about remittance costs, we're talking about micro payments. Although $50, $200 isn't micro payments in regards to what you can do in the XRP tip bot, or you could potentially send a fraction of a cent with XRP peer-to-peer. But the matter of the fact is we're live. We've got remittance costs. It's hardly dented the value of XRP, and a lot of people are sort of maybe upset about the idea. Also, the ones with a vision who can see further into the line of exactly what XRP is going to be solving can sort of gist of where I'm going to be getting at now. So like I say, you know, global remittance costs, I've forgotten the figure. As I say, I forget more than I know. There's a lot to take in this space, and I've got my head all over this shit every fucking day, believe me. So I do forget more than I actually know. But as the brief overview of what I'm trying to explain to you is, we have got the remittance costs now. They're going through XRP. It's proven to the world, and the cost savings are real on the remittance side. So what we need to do, we need to step this up now. We need to step it up to a, you know, maybe small to medium value payments rather than remittance costs. You know, as I say, it's hardly a dent into the order books. So if we was today, as I've just explained to you, if we was just to shoot to high value payments, you know, 25 million, we've got 125 million orders that need executing. At the current price of XRP, it is physically impossible for XRP to function. As I say, you know, the slippage is too steep. It's going to come to a point where order books won't be filled in time by the next order, basically delaying the payment. So it's illiquid. You know, the market cap, the value of the token itself, XRP, is not liquid enough at the value in order to suffice the demand of those high value payments. And just to throw an example out to you, you know, as I've just stated, you know, remittance cost annually, that's where they're targeting illiquid corridors, you know, the Philippines, Mexico, stuff that's basically got a lot of friction there. That's what they're helping remove by doing so. And as I've stated, you know, 300, 400, 500, 600 billion maybe in remittance cost annually. As I say, yeah, it's great. It's a great starting place. Like I say, it's like XRP is basically now incubated in a nursery. It's at 44 cents. I'd actually have to figure out what its market cap is from that. You know, maybe 20 billion or something. I'd have to do the maths, I forgot. But as an example, that 44 cents token is more than capable of handling those small remittance costs of $50, the $100, $150, without even budging the order books in the exchange. So as we were saying before, Bittrex exchange, you know, let's just say the volume, the layer of its buy orders is around 50 million. So that's how many buyers are openly there, ready in the market right now, waiting for a buy order. So as you can see, a $50 transaction is nothing. It's nothing in comparison to the size of the order books in that regard. So remittance costs, remittance payments, you know, we're obviously going to add more payment channels, more volume. And like I say, it's about network effects with this ledger now. It really is, and it's about incubating and evolving the ledger so it can handle the demand of, you know, medium-sized value payments to high value payments and so forth. So as we were saying before, as an example, you know, 600 billion in remittance cost. Well, let me give you another value. Obviously, we know Swift, you know, are responsible for 6 trillion on average 24-hour volume in settlement. And I thought that was big. You know, and it's always about, you know, having the capability to look forward into the future, having the vision to understand what's happening. We all know how good this technology is. We all know it's cost savings. We all know it's instantaneous settlements. We all know it's a mutable, you know, blockchain where information cannot be tampered with, manipulated, pressured by any government. So it's an independent network and infrastructure. And again, like I say, Temenos have implemented RippleNet into their software. And like I say, I think you're really going to love this Temenos video that I've got, because I've never heard something so bullish in my entire life. And again, it's Simon Adams, again, who we did mention in my last video, has pointed me into the direction, and he showed me a very, very sourceful piece of information that basically reinstates the idea that Temenos will be dealing 100% with cryptocurrencies, whether they be hoarding it, whether they be using it for the transactions in order to settle payments, you know, for the new evolution of the financial system. But just as an example, you know, when we talk about endgame, you know, you hear all the talks of 589, and although, you know, I support the idea it can happen, I don't think it will happen this year. I've never publicly come out and said 589 this year. I know we've got a community full of the 589 people. We've also got a community full of the people who are, you know, basically ridiculing the idea. Which I think is a little bit unfair for the ones who are trying to dream, because 589 will happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. And, you know, let these people dream. There's no need to go out and mock them. Yeah, they may have unrealistic targets of when they think it's going to happen, but yeah, I just think there's a lot of bickering on Twitter, and it's just fucking silly, really, to be honest. You know, listen, everyone's entitled to their own opinions at the end of the day. The research, the information, the evidence is out there for people to conclude on what they believe they think is possible without anybody else trying to downgrade them, demoralise them, you know, basically make them out to be a fool, an idiot. But like I say, I've got some information on Temenos, and honest to God, I promise you now, when I've done this, I'm going to be calling the video Temenos Deep Dive, and it's going to be talking all about the connections, the integration, the partnership, the collaboration with each other, the vision, where they see it going, and patents that have been that have just come to light, which I think is extraordinary, interesting and supportive, and more importantly, bullish than anything that I've seen really in regards to the Temenos sort of scenario. So just as an average anyway, I've sort of side drifted off the subject there. An example of worldwide total settlements. Okay, here's a figure for you. We talk about US bonds, Italian bonds, EU bonds, you know, whether it's US market stocks, whether it's the European market stocks, whether it's Great British, London, you know, the London stocks, you know, whatever. If you want to talk about worldwide settlement of Forex, of transactions, of bonds, we've come to a figure. And you're looking at around 36 trillion daily settled in value. Now, I can openly put my hands up to this. You know, I've always looked at Swift, though they're doing 6 trillion. You look at chips at what they're doing, and you look at Fedwire, and you could probably say around 10 trillion a daily average of obviously payments. But one thing that I will say to you is, you know, people forgetting that it's the internet of value, not the internet of payments. And anything that has got value needs settlement. This is why central banks act as clearing houses for settlement. So, you know, a perfect example for this, we're all concentrating on transactions, cross-border transactions, but we're all forgetting about the derivative side of things, you know, the complex financial contracts that need settling themselves. It's not just about payments and transfers. Like I say, it's how big do you want to dream in this game? And it's are you supportive of the idea that Ripple and its native token XRP can change the landscape of settlements worldwide, whether that's payments, whether that's bond settlements, and Forex settlement, you know, so forth and so forth. It's absolutely incredible of the time delay we have in order for us to do these things. And this is what the internet value is. You know, you've got the interledger protocol where, you know, all these payment services can connect with each other, and then you've got the interledger protocol. That was a bit of a stupid maneuver. So yeah, listen, it's how big do you want to dream? How big do you want to dream? You know, how confident are you that Ripple can execute on the plan and the roadmap of what they've set out to do? Is basically the only question you should be answering yourself, questioning yourself right now. And for me, it's crystal clear exactly where this technology is going. And like I said, it's a matter of if, not when. Sorry, it's a matter of when, not if. So if you can imagine, worldwide settlements, it's 34 trillion US dollars equivalent. Obviously, I know other stuff is going to be settled in other the native currencies, but if you put it into a dollar fixed sort of value, 36 trillion is settled daily around the world, whether that's, like I said, as I said, US bonds, whether that's Forex, whether that's stocks, whether that's cross-border transactions. 34 trillion is settled daily. And as I've just said, sure, we've got remittance cost on XRPL. We've got a 44 cents XRPL, which for the payment channels that they've got currently live is more than capable of handling this demand of low value, high volume payments. So let's just dream a little bit. As we know, you know, the Bank of England have been in proof of concept since 2015. The Federal Reserve have been in proof of concept since 2015. Obviously, they've got their faster payments task force that they've got implemented. The UK seems to be doing a similar thing. And they're all doing one thing. They are all upgrading their real-time gross settlement infrastructure so they can interact with DLT third-party plugins. And we know what that means by now. You know, by this point, you should understand that that's exactly what the Ripple product is offering with XVR is their API plugin that can connect to Fedwire, that can connect to the Bank of England, that can then open the Ripple services for the settlement processes of the central banks. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight. I can fully understand that. This is, like I say, a crawl, walk, run scenario. And I've openly stated this many times. But that is the vision, that is the dream of where this will end up eventually. If this technology is superior compared to everything else, superior to Swift CGI, GPI, then you've got to just question yourself, like, you know, this is an unbelievable opportunity in life. And to even be in connection with central banks, and as Ripple have stated, be 40 to 50 central banks. And in fact, while I'm just on that subject, the United Arab Emirates Central Bank has actually said they're designing a settlement platform that is independent, that will challenge the incumbent SWIFT. So as you can see, you know, we've got 3 central banks that we are only aware of what their plans and visions are, and using this technology of the XRPL, you know, a digital asset being used as a financial instrument for settlement that's going to remove the friction from days to seconds, and the cost savings, as we've seen from the BBVA, up to 80% savings for those people that are offering those services. So the central bank is saving, like I say, the SWIFT community of banks basically is extortionate in rates. And they have been having people's pants down for years, if not decades. In fact, decades. And when you get this new payment system that is now on offer, you know, when we have got the custodian services, when we have got the overall worldwide general regulatory framework that each individual nation can then fine tweak to their own specific laws. You know, you have Islamic financial laws which differ towards European laws. So obviously there's also going to be the fine tweaking of the regulatory clarity in using digital assets. And again, it's a crawl, walk, run scenario. Now, I have completely gone off subject here. Listen, what I'm trying to get at in the overall, you know, as a world community, a banking community, yeah, and we can see who Ripple's partners are, who they're in collaboration with, who they are doing proof of concepts with, who they are live with, who they've got running on Xcurrent. They've got an artillery of major banking institutions worldwide that are clearly bullish on the direction of this technology, which is the reason why you should be too as a person. Now, we've been speaking about remittances. We've been talking about how XRPL can handle the demand of remittances. There is only one way that XRP will be able to handle the demand of medium value payments to high value payments, to the clearance and settlement of central banks. And it is with a high value XRP. There is no two ways about it, regardless whether it settles in 3 seconds, regardless whether it's a 2-minute process from A to B in where XRP has been removed from the order box, regardless to any of this. In order for it to be able to function on those medium to high value transfers, it needs to be more liquid. And by being more liquid, I mean more valuable. To the point where, for example, now let's say we've got, you know, let's say $100 XRP. Now, obviously, at this point, the market, the order books are going to be so much more thicker, so much more liquid, that when you do move that 25 million transaction from the BitChex exchange to the Philippine exchange, that 25 million will then also become a mere piece of dust to the order book. It will not affect it at all. And it's all about keeping the spreads low. So we've got XRapid Live, we've got really tight spreads at the moment where we're seeing these flows of payments, the prices remaining stable, which is what is the most important thing. It's a stable asset that can function, that is liquid, that is predictable for banks to use. No, we're not at that stage. Like I said, we are in the kindergarten of XRP. We're being incubated and educated. Now, I have got my own theories to this. Obviously, we've got the likes of Fidelity, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, BAT, BlackRock are probably looking into it. Pretty much every single major investment firm in the world, are probably looking into this digital asset space. And once we have the elite custodian services, as I've just mentioned, then we're going to see a lot more legitimacy pumped into this asset space, and especially next year when these services are out rolling, when you as a retail investor or as an institutional investor can use these services, I can guarantee you now the mainstream media narrative on this whole asset space will be flipped on its head and reversed in order just to give out that good bullish sentiment about, oh, it is actually the opportunity that a lot of people have been speaking about. Listen, you're going to see the value of all these assets dramatically increase. You know, my price valuation for this, like I said, once we've got these custody services out, once we've got, regulation is a slow, painful task. There's no two ways about it. Different parts of the world will move faster, as we see in the United Arab Emirates. I think in Q1 2019, are rolling out their new settlement system that's independent from SWIFT. And obviously that's challenging the US. You've got the Bank of Japan that's also doing the same thing with SBI. Now everyone was hyping up SBI, and so they should, for the right reasons. You need to remember that open order books on SBI are not even live yet. They are just an OTC exchange for the time being. And we've heard Yoshi, that's, you know, obviously the president of SBI, has come out in public and he stated by Q2 2019, once we got more clarity regulatory wise, then yeah, they will be able to open the order books to the public. And this is what we're saying about custody. This is what we're saying about the regulatory framework being the integral key to success in this asset space. It's all about these things that we've spoken about. Listen, you've got utility now in XRP that is driving through that ledger right this second as we speak. And there is no movement to the price. It's because it's low value, high volume payments. Now, just use your imagination. As I said to you, you know, let's just say in 10 years' time, this technology has absolutely wiped the floor with everyone. It's the new standard, as we all know it's going to be. Can you imagine what the value would have to be in order for XRPL to process $36 trillion daily? You know, this is why I'm saying a lot of people are boxed in their own mind. They're stuck in today's reality of what we see. And not only is the world settling 36 trillion daily, what's it going to be when that friction has been removed from that settlement process? And when I say that, the 36 trillion that got settled daily, you know, for an example, is still clearing for the next few days. It's locked out of the market. What's going to happen when that's recyclable after 3 seconds? Where, you know, as me as a person, I've bought a good service, I've paid the service person, but they're waiting for that settlement. What if they get it instantly? They can then pay the shipping firm. So rather than the shipping firm then having to wait for 5 days, they've got paid. Then they can pay the supplier. You can understand, as Maurice, out of our crypto chat, out of our personal sort of private WhatsApp group chat, it's global economic acceleration. And that is what this technology is. It really, really is going to accelerate the way that money can move. The same way that information does today. And it's vital that you keep focus on the overall bigger picture. You need to remain embedded with the fact that this isn't a get rich overnight sort of scheme. Now listen, as I was saying with my price prediction, I believe by Q2 2019, and again, this is only my personal opinion, this isn't financial advice. I'm not telling you to go and remortgage your house and what I'm saying, because it would be foolish to do so. But what I am saying is we are going to see a rollout of custody services that are probably fully implemented by Q2 2019, where institutional money is embedded into the ecosystem that they've developed. So anything else that comes on top is profit on their side, and they will skim profits along the way. Of course, that's why you see natural corrections. This year's not been a natural correction. It's been outright suppression, aided by mainstream media. Bullshit. That is, I mean, I posted on Twitter yesterday, Warren Buffett come out Q2 2018, Bitcoin rat poison squared, 30% decrease from that comment alone. And what has Warren Buffett just gone and done? He's just invested into the digital asset ecosystem. Now listen, this is how the 1% remain the 1%. They've got the ability to do so. They've got the money in order to swing a narrative on the mainstream media. It's you know, I just don't know. I can't keep obviously emphasising how much this has been suppressed, this market, for. And as you heard Corey Johnson say, the likes of Wall Street, because they missed the curve. They was behind the curve. So they poured it back down to an investable point for themselves, where they know in the future. And you know, not only have they suppressed the markets this year, they will release the catch and they will pump the fucking life out of this stuff next year. Once they have their institutional trading desks, the custody services where they can offer this service. You know, listen, it was the Binances, it was the Coinbases, it was the Polynexes, it was all these exchanges. I mean, Binance, if I remember rightly, over a year period, earned 800 million in profits. That's more than the Deutsche Bank has done, which has been operating for 130 years by just offering a trading platform. Of course Wall Street want a piece of this action. Of course Wall Street have manipulated it and suppressed it down to the ground to enable the everyday person whose dream was it that this could be what they thought it would be, to in fact install negativity into their mind, and for them to sell hold of that valuable asset, just as they did in 1995 with the internet stocks. It is going to be a revolution, and in Q2 2019, it would not surprise me by this time if XRP was $20 of just investment alone. You can forget about your utility. Forget about utility in the volume. In order for XRP to be able to target medium value payments, high value payments, it needs to be a higher value token. There is no two ways about it. The CTO of Ripple openly came out and admitted this fact, which we all knew was the case anyway. Yes, it is big enough, it is a valuable enough token to handle these small value, high volume payments of remittance. But just don't forget and do not lose sight of the bigger picture. We're talking the potential of global settlements going through XRPL. Now, yeah, it won't get all of the market. There will be competitors. There will be the likes of major banks that will probably want to try and put a foothold into this. But just remember, the person first to the scene, usually in technology, grasps the overall market share, the lion's share of what it's doing. And listen, XRPL is 5 years in the making. It's proven. It's not had a single hiccup. It is liquid around the world in over 35 different exchanges, trading against the fiat pair. And to build that natural liquidity where the world will naturally accept it for what it is a hard thing to do. The IMF failed doing this thing with their own SDR basket. And as you can see, the world, the retail investors, the likes of me and yourself, when you truly understand this technology, are committed to making this work. Now listen, it's going to be institutional money that is going to push the value from where it is now to where it needs to be in order for the next level of value payments to be scaled upwards. So like I say, we're in remittance at the moment. Now we need to be targeting those small to medium value payments, you know, maybe up and towards $1 million. Even that may be too high for the value. But one thing is what you've got to remember. Wall Street have suppressed this. Wall Street have filled up the banks. Wall Street are involved with a lot of banks. A lot of those banks are involved with Ripple. And listen, if they want to, I mean, like this technology is going to free up Nostro services, okay? And in order to do that, then the banks and the people who've got this money parked around the world, they need to all work together with the same common interest of making a new system work. Now, if you've got, you know, let's say 20 trillion in Nostro around the world, and all these banks can get all this capital back, if they can find, you know, a new settlement system or whatever that be, then just think about this for its perspective. If they've got, you know, all their idle capital sat around the world where their money's not working for them, if they can pull back 9/10 of that capital to improve their own services, you know, maybe to lower interest rates and mortgages and loans, you know, just injected capital back into the hands and to the holders of that capital to begin with. It's parked in banks doing nothing. If they can commit 1/10 of that Nostro in order for XRPL to work, to function, to be able to handle these payments, then obviously, you know, it's little things that you've got to think about. I think if I was an institution and I had idle capital sat around the world, if I had the opportunity to receive 9/10 of my idle capital and put my money to work and contribute 1/10 of my idle capital into the XRPL in order for that system to be able to sustain the injected capital flow running through it, then I would welcome that with open arms. And I think that is what we're going to see. We're going to see the destabilising of the Nostro systems worldwide. And it's going to be a process. It's not going to happen overnight. But it's definitely something that is preventable, that is capable of happening. And I genuinely believe by Q2 2019, I would genuinely like to see the price anywhere between $10 to $20 from just institutional investment hoarding and no utility, which will then enable that next step of value payments to be able to run through the XRPL. And it's a stepping stone hedge from there. You know, a new plateau will be born. Will we settle at around $10 to $15 by Q2 2019? Possibly so. Then the next year will we settle at $50 between $100? It all depends. But utility can only pass through this coin if the value of the token is high enough to begin with. That is why we're stuck in remittance cost at the moment. That is why we cannot scale from remittance to small to medium value payments, because the value of the token itself is incapable of moving the money around the world due to how narrow and how thin the order books are. Like I say, if you've got 125 million transactions, 2 transactions will eliminate the order books in both the exchanges, basically making those exchanges illiquid. And then you've got all the arbitrage because the spreads are that far apart, where they will be buying for 2 cents on one exchange and selling for 13 cents on the other, $13 on the other exchange. Now listen, this is arbitrage. This is all about the spreads, and this is what you need to understand in order for XRP to be able to handle those 25 million transactions. Then yeah, you guessed it right, the value of the token needs to increase, so less XRP are being moved, so the order books are being less affected, and it is that process that we are building to a liquid XRP infrastructure where money can move the same way that value information does today. Now obviously we can see you can do this at the moment with XRP Titbot. We can see it happening with remittance. Believe me, if you've got faith in Ripple, it does not end up the remittance. Remittance is the start of its education. And in 10 years' time, I can see central bank payments flow running through this as the standard. And that 36 trillion that we see being settled today will be amplified by so much more due to the fact that the value is readily available 3 seconds later. I'm going to cut the video short at that. A bit of a rant, that's just how we operate. But it just makes me laugh, people in this community, you know. It does, it really does. There's bigger pictures to look at here, and it's an evolution, it's a network effect. Listen, Facebook didn't launch in 2014 and 3 months later have 1 billion users. It took time. Now, I understand it can take time, but I also understand that we've got an impending US financial market crisis, which is going to absolutely wipe the floor with anything we have ever seen due to the amount of US debt that is held around the world. Now, it's stuff like this that can act as a catalyst to make this process so much more quicker, but it's not a guarantee. But I believe that it is, in fact, this ledger that will save the meltdown around the world. Because once the global markets are illiquid, I mean liquidity, we are talking about liquidity, and the US dollar liquidity will soon dry up, where trade, where Forex, where all these things cannot commence because of the US dollar impending status that we're about to see. And what other way can we do to get around that? We can use an immutable decentralized blockchain like XRPL, which can allow these transactions to go through. But again, we need the value to go into there. Now, we're just talking about utility and stuff like that. But what about all these institutions that when they put a little bit of capital into this and they see the 25% jump and they see that more volumes coming through the ledger, listen, they will invest for 10 years' time, not for 3 months. They will be investing and they will be sticking their capital in there and leaving it sat there for the next 10 years. And it's that institution inflow that we need at the moment, which we're not getting because they are accumulating over the counter where it's not affecting the order books, so they can hoard and accumulate as much of these digital assets as they can. But believe me, that the switch will flip in that narrative. There's only so much OTC that can be bought. There's only so much suppression that can be held down. Now, I don't know how fast this entire process is going to be. You know, for all I know, it could be at $50, $200 next year. I do not know the value, but I can tell you and educate you of how it works and how it will happen. There's all sorts of different catalysts around the world. You've got the Iran sanctions. Iran needs to trade in their global oil. You know, they can't do it through the US. It's stuff like this that can allow it. Obviously, it's a lot more in depth. I can't really go into that at the moment. It was just a bit of a throw it out there example. But as I've been stating, it's absolutely unbelievable the opportunity that is here today. Unbelievable. When you understand this as deeply as I do. Let's forget about all the conspiracies here, which I've got very big suspicions of. But just look at what it's doing. You know, we talk about globalization. We talk about the internet value being the missing key to globalization, where it will work for everybody. And when you start getting 1.9 billion people back into the financial system for the first time, it's going to contribute to the GDP. It's going to better their lives. It's going to better everybody's life. This is going to be the revolutionary technology that completely eradicated poverty. That's the way it will be sang, and that's the way it will work. But as I say, I believe it's a lot darker than that. I believe it's being used for a lot. I think its purpose is a lot more than like I say. I'm not going into the conspiracy stuff. I'm keeping to the facts, but those are the facts. So do not get that fucking. Don't underestimate. Those are the actual facts. Listen, that will happen. You know, Bill Gates has come out and said by 2030, poverty will end. Now, it's only since he's been in bed with Ripple that he's been able to do this. It's the only way that distributed ledger technology is capable of doing this. Again, thanks for obviously for tuning in. If you want a nano ledger S, obviously it's in the description below. Scott's got a tutorial video how it all works if you want that. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, start the Telegram group. All these links will be down below in the description if you want to follow us on those social media platforms. Because obviously we put out a lot more information on them rather than these daily videos. But thank you very much for your time, everybody.